A new PPL agency owner messaged me this last week. He said, out of 10 leads that I've generated, 6 have been accepted by the client and 4 have been returned. And he spent $2,000 to get those 10 leads, which is a lot of money. He also said, forgot to mention the main reason for a lead being rejected by my client is that it's a duplicate. Since they are such a big lead buyer and they buy leads from multiple vendors, sometimes the leads I send get flagged as duplicates because a different vendor has sent the same lead over. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about how and why duplicate leads are killing your PPL agency and how you can prevent this. So here's this real life example, right? This is a brand new PPL agency owner. He just spent $2,000. He's super excited, just got his first client. Next thing you know, he got 4 out of 10 leads returned. So that's a 40% rejection rate. And his real cost per accepted lead comes out to $333. And I'm pretty sure he didn't sell those leads for that price. And here's the issue. What is a duplicate lead in the PPL world? So if there's a lead here who's a car accident victim, they might fill out a form with a different vendor. They might fill out a form with a different vendor, or they may fill out a different form with a different vendor, right? They all get sent to the same buyer and they're counted as duplicates. And most agencies, they'll return duplicates unless you don't have that in your agreement. But most of the time you're more than likely returning duplicates. So a lot of big law firms, a lot of big buyers, they're buying from a lot of different vendors. They're diversifying their lead sources, right? Why new agencies get hit the hardest is because every single return hurts. It hurts your profits. It hurts your actual results. It hurts, right? At a low volume, every return lead can make a huge impact on your actual ROI. So 10 leads per week, every return is devastating. Also, when you're brand new, you have no leverage to really negotiate your return caps, right? Versus if you're a bigger agency doing a ton of volume, your return percentage at higher volumes, your returns might not make a huge impact, right? And it's also easier to negotiate when you're a bigger agency and you have doing a tons of more volume. Here's another hidden cost. When your buyer sees a bunch of repeated duplicates, they kind of stop trusting your lead quality, right? Because bigger, more established agencies already have processes in place to handle duplicates. So fix number 1 is ask about vendors. So you're the agency owner, ask your buyer, hey, how many vendors are you working with? This is just for you to get an idea of like what that risk looks like. If they're working with 8+ different vendors, you might have a higher risk for duplicates. Fix number 2 is set return rules. So when you send your buyer the agreement, you're establishing the rules, make sure it's clearly outlined how and what is defined as a duplicate. Maybe in your contract, you say, hey, duplicates are any lead that has came into your system within the last 30 days, or maybe it's within the last 48 hours. It depends on the industry, but make sure that's clearly outlined up front. Another thing you're going to want to clearly outline is how they can actually ask for a return. You also want to give them a time when, not an unlimited time window. Say, hey, if a lead is marked as a duplicate, you have X amount of time to mark it as a duplicate so that we can refund you or replace the lead. And when it comes to returning leads, you're going to want to make sure you have an easy process to do that. If you're still working off of Google Sheets and having to manually do that, and then they're emailing you back, such a messy process, I'll show you a better way to do that at the end of this video. Fix number 3 is to track it before you're sending it to your buyer. So when you're smaller, you might be able to manually track, right, on your side, whether a lead has came in already and block it. Probably going to be super hard with the routing and how all that happens, right? And it's going to break at scale. So you want a system or a way to be able to cross-reference every lead before sending it. And the way you do that is you check your new leads against your past deliveries, and you want a system that can work with you at scale. And that's where we bring in Lead Distro AI to the picture. And this is a lead distribution software that we initially built internally for our own agency, but we've actually released it to the public and have a bunch of agencies actually using this software. So the way it works, the new lead arrives, we check if that lead has came in already. If it's a duplicate, then we block it from sending it over to your buyer. If it's not a duplicate, we can actually deliver it to your buyer. So let me show you on the actual platform. So this is Lead Distro. This is a test account. And if I scroll down here, you see we have our suppliers, our buyers, our daily profit and loss, lead volume, CPL, all of that. And you can see here, even in the chart, I can see that we had a duplicate on March 22nd, right? So this is duplicates. These are returns. Returns can be anything of like your buyer sending a return because it was a fake lead or whatever is in your return policy. They're able to return that lead, and this gets marked as a duplicate here. We scroll down. These are our filters, and this is our duplicate detection section. So you can see here we have campaign-wide dupes. So the scope is at the entire campaign level. So if one lead comes in to this specific campaign and that same lead comes in, it automatically gets counted as a duplicate. Or we have a per buyer duplicate setting. So if Sterling Legal Partners gets a lead, other people can get that lead, but Sterling will never get that lead again because it's a duplicate for Sterling. And you can see we have duplicate time windows. So you can do the last 30 days, you can do the last day, whatever that looks like. You can do lifetime, disable it, and you can either match by phone or email or both. So this here allows you to have so much more flexibility and allows you to automatically track duplicates, which is huge. And another thing you can do is you can actually set up an automation here where if a lead gets rejected because it's a duplicate, maybe you want to distribute those leads to another campaign, like a fallback campaign with other buyers or whatever, right? So you actually have that flexibility in here. And another thing is we can actually, if we go to Sterling Legal Partners, this is actually something a lot of agencies don't know that you can do, is you can actually upload a suppression list. So the way this works is imagine you're working with a huge insurance company, right? They're massive. They're working with tons of vendors. They can actually send you a list of their customers or a list of their contacts hashed, right? So it's hashed, everything's secure. They send that over to you. You upload that hashed list so that whenever a lead comes in, it automatically gets checked if that lead is in the suppression list and gets marked as a duplicate. This will save you tons and tons of money and will allow you to have more flexibility on how you manage your duplicates, which is huge. So again, before Lead Distro, you have 10 leads generated, only 6 got accepted. Your cost per lead is $333. Revenue loss is $800. With Lead Distro, 10 get generated. You can manage those duplicates better, so you can actually get at least 10 of those accepted. Your cost per lead is $200, 0 revenue lost. So here's a profit formula. You generate quality leads, deliver them instantly, block duplicates, and track everything. And if you ever seen this name in any of my other videos, Flowzy AI, that was our OG name. It is now Lead Distro AI. Just letting you know. Another thing you can do is while you're in here, if you go to portal, preview portal, your buyers can actually have their own portal where they can come in here and ask for a return, right? So they go in here, request a return, duplicate lead. This will send you a message and it will show up in your duplicate lead section here. So if I do that, duplicate lead, and we just refresh this, you can see here, there's this Sterling Legal Partners duplicate lead submitted by me, and I can either approve or deny it. And it makes it super easy for you guys to track returns. And for your buyers, give them a simple way to return duplicate leads if for whatever reason it wasn't caught in the first place. So just to recap, some of the key takeaways are duplicates are a logistics problem. And especially as you start scaling, it's going to cost you revenue. You want to get a pulse on how many vendors your buyers working with just to see your risk for duplicates. Key takeaway number 3 is set a return window for returning duplicates with clear rules. At low volume, you can track leads manually, phone and email. At scale, you want to automate dedupes with Lead Distro AI. And step number 6 is you want to catch duplicates before they even reach your buyer, not after. If your buyers are getting a bunch of duplicates, they're also going to question your lead quality and expertise. If you like this video and you want more pay-per-lead agency or even just lead generation tips, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and stay tuned for the next one.